Welcome to 10 Minutes Today, your favorite thrice weekly show right here on YouTube.
We're back.
I'm Jake. Yeah, we're back. I'm Jake. That's Matej.
Yes, it is.
And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share us with your friends. Today's topic, after a long ways off, a lot has happened since we last spoke. But Matej, should we be raising minimum wage?
Yes.
Why?
Why not?
Well, I can think of a lot of reasons why not.
No, you can't. No good ones.
So, when you
Hey,
research...
that's what I was looking at, too.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, this is actually exactly the argument I want to make.
Perfect. Go.
So, through school, they teach you in finance that raising minimum wage is a bad thing. I'm sure you can find profs who feel otherwise.
Sure.
All of the professors I ever had were completely against raising minimum wage.
Which happens all the time.
It does happen all the time, but not that they're against raising minimum wage always, because like you can look at the list where they're like, oh, here's 10 times we raised it and nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Yes, because all of those times we were coming like it was when the economy was in a horrible state. There were real reasons for it.
Well, yeah, you need to keep up with inflation, which it's not.
To keep up with inflation.
Which it's not.
But hold on. Inflation is controlled entirely by your government. It's how much money they print. That's what causes inflation, right? And the reason that the thing that increases inflation is money in the economy.
Okay.
And they want inflation to happen at a certain point. So most Western countries feel that like between usually they say 1.5% and 3%. Usually it falls more between like 2.5% and 3% annual inflation is where they want it to be. If you don't understand, inflation means that if you have $5, like a $5 bill in front of you, in a year's time from now, it'll be worth 3% less than $5. And that's completely normal, and that represents the economy is growing. 25 cents used to be Coke, a hamburger, and a fucking tank of gas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seriously.
So like...
Yeah.
And that was they served you in your car while they filled the gas for you.
Yeah.
So obviously it's no longer the case. But raising minimum wage right now just doesn't feel right. It feels like in Canada, well, I shouldn't say in Canada, in Ontario, it's being done. The minimum wage is going from $10.75 right now.
It's like $11
up to $15 an hour.
So like $4-ish.
Almost a $4 minimum raise, just under $4, and
which is like almost a 50% increase.
Yeah, and in the U.S. they're talking about going from $7 to $15.
No, they're only told like 11. I'm pretty sure.
No, they want 15.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Democrats want 15.
No,
it probably won't settle at 15.
Yeah.
That's like
doubling.
That's literally doubling.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about Ontario because that's what we know. Within Ontario, I don't know how long we've been going for. I didn't start the clock.
No,
within Ontario, it feels like it's being done purely for political reasons.
Sure.
The Liberal Party of Ontario is in shambles. We know they're going to lose the next election. She has no chance. She has to run because any Liberal who runs will lose. Mm-hmm. So Kathleen Wynne has to run. She has to take this loss. Patrick Brown is going to be our next member of Parliament. God help us. And I don't believe in God, so someone help us. So what it comes down to is this is being done because they need votes. They need votes. And raising minimum wage, all the research shows... It's literally split 50-50. Yeah. And I've done a lot of research into it. Yeah. And it's like the first website that comes up is minimumwageprocon.org. And the more you go through it and look at other websites and whatnot, it's always the same. One website is like, it's perfect for these reasons. One says it's bad for these reasons. And they are literally the inverse of one another. Yeah. So this shows the 15 pros and 15 cons that are literally like number 1 pro, raising minimum wage would increase economic activity and spur job growth. Con number 1, increasing minimum wage would force businesses to lay people off and raise unemployment levels. Yeah. They're literally the inverse of one another. Yeah. Ultimately, I think raising minimum wage in this day and age, because this is not 1920. I know it was great in 1920. In 1930, again, when we raised it, it was fantastic. Right now, A $4 minimum wage increase. If I'm the CEO of McDonald's Canada,
Yeah.
all those robots are coming in. You're all leaving tomorrow. I
Yeah.
need one manager and one person to mop the floors in every
It's
store.
definitely an incentive for for companies to try to increase automation, right? For sure.
Yep.
That's a huge incentive. One of the things, though, that, I mean, minimum wage needs to be raised because if you look at the average family that has at least three or more people, they're actually, they have less money, or actually, I guess they're falling underneath the poverty line, like the poverty level.
But that's not the government's problem. Why are you working a minimum wage job when you have children? Why are you having kids if you have no education, no work, and yet you're pumping out like 2-3 kids per family?
But even
that's your fault.
Fair. That's fair.
Your fault.
But let's take this into account. Even people that are above minimum wage
that impacts us more
are not.
But if you're
above
making,
that poverty line.
I know. Look, this is the thing. If you're right now, everyone who starts in construction is making, at least this is 4 years ago when I was doing it, you're making $15 an hour when you start. So they paid us. And that was about $4 above minimum wage. Yeah. Now you're telling me that those people are going to be paid $20 an hour because they're worth way more than the guy who's flipping burgers. Like, sorry, if you're working outdoors in construction or you're on, like physical labor, throwing garbage, stuff like that, they are not worth $15 an hour. They're worth $4 or $5 an hour more. Okay. And then the higher you go, the more you go. Like, for sure. The more work you're doing. Now what? These companies, they can't suddenly, you want them to start charging more? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Your Tim Hortons coffee is going to go up probably 50 cents a cup of coffee.
But everything goes up.
50 cents.
You were just talking about how things go up.
So why are we raising minimum wage?
Because keep up with it.
Exactly, but you already can't afford it as it is, and now it's going to be more expensive.
And
it's
you'll
not
have more
like
money.
your $2. Like, this makes inflation for this coming year. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be 3%. It's going to be like 4 or 5%.
Okay.
Any money that you have is suddenly worth way less. And it's almost 1-to-1 with the increase. Mm-hmm. Usually we do like a 75-cent minimum wage increase. You're talking about $4 over 2 years. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. That is way too high.
I don't know. I can see.
Way too high. And it's all for political gain. That's why it's only Ontario doing it. It's not a Canada-wide increase. It's not necessarily
just for political gain.
It is.
Why?
Why else would they be doing it right now?
Help people.
But look, this is what I'm saying, right? Minimum wage means minimum. Yeah. That means you don't have an iPhone. You don't have an $80, $100 phone plan. You don't drive a new car. Yeah. That's not what minimum wage is for. Yeah. Usually you should be still living at home working through high school. And I know that we are in a place where a lot of people are in their 30s and 40s, even in their late 20s, full-time work at retail outlets and fast food chains. And I'm sorry that you're in that position. And this is coming from someone with strong liberal values, but you need to figure that out.
I know, but you need to think. You can't just think about people that are making. You can't just think about people that are making the minimum wage, though. Like, because there are people that are making like $13, $14 an hour. Yeah. That have been in school for 5, 6 years.
And now they're making the same thing as the person who's making minimum wage.
And they're still making more than they were making before.
It doesn't matter. They're making... No.
They are.
No. Look, you and I are not getting a raise out of this.
No.
Right? But listen to me.
I'm saying if you're making $14 an hour, you're now making $15 an hour.
I realize that. Okay. Now, it's just like, why don't we just, instead of paying them $15, why don't we just knock them the fuck down?
Who?
The people who are making $13 and $14 an hour. Whoa. Because now you're saying you're worth minimum wage. I've given you raises over the past 2 years working at Walmart or whatever. You're in your last year of school. You have one more year with Walmart before you graduate. Okay. And now I'm going to be paying you, who's been working here on a cash... I have no idea what people at Walmart make. But you've been here the longest, and you're making... Maybe right now you're making $14.75 an hour. You're getting a 25-cent increase, and that girl who started last week is paid the same as you.
But I don't think that it's the people that are making minimum wage now are getting enough money to be able to live. It's not their fault. You can't be upset at that person. You need to be upset at the person that's paying you not enough.
What? No, look,
for sure. If I'm currently,
this is a problem.
Look at it like this. If I'm currently making $15 an hour, okay,
yeah,
And now minimum wage just raised to $15 an hour, so somebody that's working at McDonald's is making the same as me. Okay? Yeah. Sure, I can be upset that somebody with no experience, no schooling, nothing is now making the same as I am, but I can't be mad at that person for wanting. I can't be mad at people that are advocating for $15 minimum wage.
No, just like you can't be mad at someone who sits at home and collects welfare. You get mad at the system, and that's what I'm saying. But it's not the system's job to feed you.
No, it's not. But I don't think it's wrong.
Not the system's job to feed you. It's not their job to increase this.
No, but I don't think it's wrong.
They're the ones making this problem.
I don't think it's wrong for somebody to be able to have a living wage. I think it's wrong that there's people at the top making $1 billion when there's people that can't afford to fucking buy a meal for their kids.
Yeah, but
that's where the problem is.
Listen,
and they're the ones that are getting huge tax incentives.
I realize that.
Cut the tax incentives.
I realize that.
Add the tax incentives down here.
No.
And you're gonna have less problems.
Already in Canada, we've gotten rid of a lot. Like a lot of that. Our minimum tax has done a lot to force people in upper brackets. The infinite bracket, to pay more in taxes. Mm-hmm. Right now, this has nothing to do with taxes. Your emotions are conflating two completely different issues. Raising minimum wage does not help these people. It doesn't. If I give you an extra $5 a month, right? Let's say, okay, $4 an hour, it's probably part-time work. I'll give you an extra $200 a month. What are you doing with that $200? If everything stays the same.
Putting it back into the economy.
How are you putting it? How does that help anyone?
Or investing it.
Okay, that's my point. How does that help anyone? How does putting $200 per person back into the economy help anyone? $200, that's completely artificial. There's no extra production. There's nothing extra.
What do you mean?
How is there extra anything?
Also, it's significantly more than $200.
Probably not, because you're talking mostly part-time. Very little full-time work at minimum wage. Very few people are full-time at minimum wage. Very few. The point is, you're dealing with everyone like you and I, as I was trying to say, who, like, I put in my time at minimum wage. I said, fuck minimum wage. I'm going to work construction. I did that for a few years. And then I found a place that was above minimum wage, and now I am where I am, finally comfortable. And now you're telling me that all of these people are getting a $4 raise, and their work is worth almost what mine is worth?
How does that affect you, though?
Because it affects my stance in society, just like it affects yours.
Stop being a pussy, bitch.
No, you don't understand. You're being a pussy, bitch.
You're not getting less money.
But why do these people deserve? Why do you deserve a handout? Why not a 75-cent minimum wage increase?
Because people are still below the poverty line.
That's fine. You should have gone to school.
That's not necessarily how you make more.
Then you should be working. You should be working in labor, physical work.
Who's gonna pour
That's
your coffee,
how
then?
You make money. I'm not saying someone in high school should be pouring my coffee, not a 30-year-old mother of 4. Mm-hmm. She should not be pouring coffee, unless her husband has like a full-time job making $70,000 a year. Then fuck yeah, get your part-time job. Make your $15 an hour now pouring coffee. That's fine. Mm-hmm. That is not how you should be supporting a family. Minimum wage. Minimum. It does not mean come work here and this is your career. That's not a career. It's just not. Management positions, I'm sure we're over. Management positions at these stores, I understand why they get paid more. They should get paid more. Mm-hmm. But everything else, the system was not designed for retail and the food service industry to be our number one source of revenue, and it is now. And we need to change that. We need nuclear power stations. We need to be investing in solar and wind energy. That's where these people should be going to work. That creates office work. It creates labor work. It's way more beneficial than just being like, you know what? I'm just going to give everyone $4 an hour because I need votes. And that's what this is. That's the problem.
And that's all the time we have for today.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Leave a comment whether you like or, more likely than not, don't like what I had to say.
Or what I had to say.
Or what Matej had to say. But I don't think many people will disagree with you.
And have a great day.
Come back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Bye.